Okay, so I'm actually going to split this up into three separate 2 minute tips because exposure triangle, three separate parts to it. They all join together, but if I talked about them all at once, then you'd probably get bored of me and looking at me and listening to me. So I want to make this as informative and as enjoyable for yourself so that you learn something, take it away, and apply it to your photography. Right, so let's start with the exposure triangle. So we've got three main components. So we've got the shutter speed, we've got the aperture, and we have the ISO. We're going to start off with looking at your shutter speed. Shutter speed sets how long your camera is actually opening its shutter, allowing light to enter its sensor. So you can have a long shutter speed or you can have a short shutter speed. They're also described as slow and fast shutter speeds. And we're going to show you some examples of what people might mean by slow and fast. Okay, so you might have action shots. You want to freeze the action and you want everything to look still, so your main subject, it's not blurry, it's as sharp as it can possibly be with the settings you're using. So you would initially use a shutter speed, personally, of a thousandth of a second or higher, purely because you want that motion to be still. You're not so much focused on the background, you're only focused on making sure the subject that you're taking your image of is still in focus and sharp. So if you're using a fast shutter speed, a great example of this is sports. Look at the many like football, soccer images that you can find online, and you can see how the photographer has focused on that person and capturing that still moment of him or her in their sport. You can see it in hockey, rugby, all sorts of sports, especially athletics as well. You'll see athletics, and you'll see, especially in the 100-meter sprint, it's fast race. They're using a very fast shutter speed to capture that moment. So the best way to give you examples of slow or longer shutter speeds are, a lot of people like to see like misty waterfalls where everything's really smooth and coming down, and those are great examples of somebody using a slower shutter speed, keeping that shutter open for a longer period of time and capturing the flowing of the movement. Now, it's not just the shutter speed that accounts for this. Obviously, we're talking about the exposure triangle. So in order to understand how your shutter speed is in relation to your exposure triangle, you need to know that if you're using a fast shutter speed, then you're letting in less light. If you're using a slow shutter speed, then you're letting in more light. So then your exposure triangle settings will have to adjust to compensate to that.